is Jalen Rose. I'm David Jacoby. We are Jalen Jacoby.
Up,
what is it that we do?
Boss up. We give the people what they want.
We now know who the MVP of the NBA is, and we also await LeBron James and Lakers to take on the stretch mark 5 and the Nuggets tonight. But we start with the Miami Heat. Again, down big against the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, and again come roaring back to win the game and take a commanding lead in the series. Jalen, who was the key to this turnaround in Game 2?
Well, I'm not going to start 35,000 square feet and say Pat Riley, the architect, where I can make the argument that he's probably been a better executive than a coach, where he should be Hall of Fame at both, that basically nurtured Eric Spoelstra into one of the best coaches in the NBA that I've seen coach LeBron in the Big Three, Dwayne Wade, Shaq. Then I've also seen him coach a team like this that seems like a land of misfit toys. So now when you take it to the floor, Jimmy Butler, he's a guy that plays different offensively in the fourth quarter than he does the first three. And he plays with tenacity on defense every quarter. Did you see that play right there? That save? That's court awareness. He threw that with his left hand to a position where his teammate could get it and got it back for a dunk. He had deflections late on that end of the floor that caused offense. Jimmy Butler and Goran Dragic offensively, who's been totally consistent, giving them threes, giving them that offensive punch that we don't discuss, because usually when we talk about teams, we talk about their best players, but he's been terrific in these playoffs, giving the Heat some effectiveness on offense.
Dragic is, you can just put him in for between 20 and 25 points every single playoff game. He never scores 26. He never scores 15. It is always between 20 and 25. He is just so consistent. And when you think about this team, you think about the two All-Stars, you think about Butler and you think about Bam, and you think about the white shooters that I love so much with Hero and Robinson. But Dragic is really the heart and soul on the offensive side of the floor. He's a floor general, and he is just a straight-up scorer. There's part of me that if I was Brad Stevens, I'd be like, you know he's left-handed, right? Like, because he's always finishing on the left side of the bucket. So you are a lefty too. So tell me what that is. Why don't they just cut off his left hand?
Right-handed people, let me just tell you something. I know everything in the world is designed for you. When you go to the bank, the pen is on the right hand. When you go to school, the desk is on the right hand. I get that. Everything is designed for you. But people that are left-handed think with our right mind. And that's where your intellect comes from. And here's what I'll say. Y'all always talk about players who are dominant left that don't go right. But 90% of the league only goes right. And we never say that about them. Is he's so very good at, he can shoot well enough that you got to get up on him. And you know what shooting gives you? Speed. It doesn't make you faster. It just makes the defense have to close out to you. So now he can drive around him and go to his strong left hand. And that's what he's doing. Oh, and the big want to come help? I'll lob it over the top to Bam. Oh, the wing want to help? I'll do the swing pass to the corner for Hero or for Duncan Robinson to make the three. They're using him to his strength and getting the most out of a player that was an underutilized asset based on his salary the last couple of seasons almost.
Jalen, I'm glad you brought up Spoelstra earlier, because he is really flexing in these playoffs, and what he did in this series specifically is impressive. They played a lot of zone during the regular season, but not so much in the playoffs. But you know, Eric Spoelstra was watching that Raptors-Celtics series, and he's like, you know what? This team has a little bit of trouble against the zone. And when you look at the numbers of where they get their shots from versus the man in the zone, you see here they shoot a lot more threes against the zone. They get a lot less in the paint against the zone. And that has been the key to the Raptors stifling this offensive attack of the Celtics. Why is it that the Celtics have so much trouble against the zone defense?
So look at that. And I wanted them to cut that footage in particular. For anybody that's played basketball, look at the front of that 2-3 zone. I'm teaching you guys right now. It's Jimmy Butler and it's Jay Crowder. But you see on the bottom, they're basically hiding Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Goran Dragic defensively. So when the ball goes to the wing, if you're going to try to take advantage of them, now you can double with the middle back guy of the zone, Bam, and or Jimmy or Jay Crowder to protect them defensively. But at the top of the floor, now you got your two best wing defenders causing havoc and getting deflections. Normally, if this was high school, the two wing lower guys, the worst defenders, will be at the top. But they're inverted right now. And so why do you do that? You do a lot of switching, you flatten out teams, and you force them to go one-on-one. Well, Jason Tatum is terrific at isolation, one of the best in the game. Kemba Walker is best off pick and roll. So now we're going to take that away from him. We're going to take that away from him. And we're going to force him to play in a phone booth. And that's what they've done to try to slow down Kemba. But then it limits players like Jaylen Brown. It forces him to not only be a spot shooter because he's not getting that normal action from their offense.
Jalen, you know that I've adopted the Miami Heat as my team this postseason. And you know one of the reasons, my white guys. I love Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson so much. When they're on the floor, I feel like I'm on the floor. And Duncan Robinson, I'm going to be honest, he's been terrible during this postseason. But last night, Duncan Robinson stepped up, and he didn't just hit 1 3 or 2 threes or 3 threes or 4 threes or 5 threes. He had 6 threes. He looked like the Duncan Robinson that we have seen all regular season. Quick release, open shots, knocking them down. I loved what I saw from Duncan Robinson last night because while the Heat have been very successful this postseason, lost 1 game in double overtime. 1 game they've lost this entire postseason in the bubble. Duncan Robinson has not contributed. It was so good to see him knocking down shots last night. Now, you've pointed out a key player on the Celtics that needs to change their behavior in order to change this series. Who is that, Mr. Rose?
Jason Tatum. Because when you ascend to an all-NBA performer, now all of a sudden, as your team continues to progress into the playoffs, your productivity has to get better. Your efficiency has to improve, not get worse. He looked a little fatigued to me, Jacoby, as well.
Good point.
And I thought something was off initially when I saw him with a headband on. Like, don't he know he got one of the freshest cuts and hairlines in the history of sports, along with Devin Booker and Fred VanVleet and some other guy? Like, when he has something on his head, that threw me off, and that affected his performance. Take that headband off, Jason. Get a fresh cut. Continue to attack the rack. I know Bam blocked your dunk, and sometimes it's like Mike Tyson hitting you in the face. It can drop you back and put you on a standing 8 count, but continue to attack. And I know it's 2-0. I know it's 2-0. And everybody want to pile on the Celtics. And after the game, they're in the locker room, Jacoby. Of course it's going to be heated, right?
Of course
it's going to be heated.
Jalen, I'm glad we have you here because you have a lot of experience in losing playoffs games. So we're going to rely on that experience. We need you to take us behind the curtain. We've all heard the reports. There was screaming. There was throwing things in the Celtics locker room. Jalen Rose, you've been a part of many bad playoff losses. Take us behind the curtain. What is it that environment like that we can't see?
So the playoffs mean everything. It's the difference between life or death. It's the difference between breathing or not. Like, each possession, each moment means everything. That's why when you look back at historic playoff runs, you always have those plays that are ingrained in your mind, or those games that are ingrained in your mind. So you can be psychologically and emotionally overwhelmed, Jacoby. And then when you get into the locker room and you feel like you didn't play to your expectation, there's going to be a level of frustration, and it's going to spill out. And to the media and fans, the best player on the team is supposed to be the leader. It's supposed to be the most outspoken person. But on a team like Boston, players like Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown, they become the pulse of what you do in a lot of ways, and Kemba being the elder statesman of that younger group. And I'm pretty sure as a guy like Jason Tatum has ascended, even though they're all around the same age, in particular Jaylen Brown, those conversations are now, this is what we need from you. This is what we need from you. And usually the public doesn't know or hear, especially the opponent. But for Jimmy Butler being in the bubble, you're going to go to the press conference and you're going to hear the other team arguing. Media, they're going to hear the other team arguing. But when you're down 2-0, guess what, Jacoby? You should be arguing. So this was, And I don't believe, while the Celtics won't win this series, in my opinion, I don't believe it's going to be a landslide by the Miami Heat. I do still anticipate a long series.
Yes, I mean, these games have been very close, both of them going down to the wire, one of them going to overtime. I expect a long series, and I also expect my Miami Heat culture to come out with the victory in the series.
Such a easy fan. Oh, yeah. Man.
I'll be off the Heat once they lose one game. I'll be off them once they lose one game. You know how I'm a front runner for sure. Jalen, it comes as no surprise, but it is big news. Giannis Antetokounmpo has won his second straight MVP. He is the defensive player of the year. He is the most valuable player of the year, and he is also watching the games from home as they continue in the bubble. What do you think about the MVP going to Giannis Antetokounmpo?
I think I have a public service announcement for somebody that's been a part of this league for almost 25 years. This is really important to me.
What's that?
The league does the player a disservice when they announce the awards so late into the postseason. These awards for regular season productivity and excellence should happen right after the regular season, or at worst during the first couple of games to start the first round of the playoffs. Once you wait weeks to give regular season awards, it now dilutes the public's brain and the opponent's brain to think, why he win MVP? He just got bounced. That's what people are saying today. As opposed, if you give it to him at the end of the regular season, you're celebrating the journey. He's only the fifth player to win Defensive Player of the Year and MVP. I think David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, Michael Jordan, he's on the list with those guys. It's a phenomenal feat, but you do him a disservice, and we can't truly appreciate his greatness because we're also going to talk about a back-to-back MVP not making it to the NBA Finals. And then we're going to say when the last time that's happened. So that's what I would like to see changed. But for Giannis, I voted for him to be MVP, so I'm not surprised he won the award. I did not vote for him to be Defensive Player of the Year. I voted for Anthony Davis.
Jalen, there's so much going on in Orlando in the NBA bubble that it's almost like we forgot there's a huge NFL Week 2 coming up, and we will preview it for you. Stay tuned. You're watching Jalen. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, we have a full slate of games on Sunday, so you will decide which ones we discuss because it's time for
Woo! Tang! Woo! Tang!
If you want to discuss the NFL games, say hit the brakes. If not, me and Method Man will keep it moving, and we start with this one. Last night's game between the Bengals and the Browns. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
We're going to hit the brakes. Baker Mayfield looked pretty good. The Browns' run game went well. Mayfield looked all right. Was it just that they played the Ravens last week and there's hope for the Browns, or are they trash like we all suspect?
As I look in the rearview mirror as somebody that picked the Clippers to win the West and to win the championship and was also hesitant to jump on the Browns bandwagon at the beginning of last year like so many others did, the Cleveland Browns are reminding me in a lot of ways of the Clippers of the NFL. When they go up against the Ravens, I don't see a lot of dancing. I don't see a lot of celebrating. I see heads down. I see bad stats. I see fantasy implications being affected in a negative way. But when the Bengals come to town, I see creative celebrations. Odell hitting his head on the goalpost. Baker feeling himself. That's what I saw from the Clippers in the bubble until they got bounced. So to answer your question, the Browns are all right. They're not real. I don't believe they're a playoff team, even though I love Myles Garrett. Free OBJ.
Free OBJ. Moving on, we have the Falcons against the Cowboys. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
We're going to talk enough about the Cowboys. Win, lose, or draw. Keep it moving.
We keep it moving. We keep it moving.
Unfortunately, they're forcing the Lions to play another football game. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes, always.
Jalen, this week they're going to get torched by Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Over, under, touchdown throws for Rodgers, 5. What do you got?
Under. We could bet anything on it. Anything. You feel Froggish leap. You feel like a cowboy? I'll give you a rope.
I do believe you'll hold him. You'll probably hold him to 4 touchdown passes. You're right. You'll probably hold him to 4.
I bet you he don't get 4. I bet you he don't get 4.
Well, he might get. You know what? He'll probably run a couple in. You know, they're going to end up scoring over 40 points. I promise you. Moving on. Lamar and the Ravens take on Deshaun and the Texans.
Hit the brakes.
Keep moving or hit the brakes. Jalen, are you giving the Texans a puncher's chance to upset the Ravens?
They still have Deshaun, absolutely. I just look at the marriage of Bill O'Brien and the Texans. I want to give everybody some context because they keep leaving this out. I agree. He's been a terrible GM on paper. I'm not here to defend him. But I see the D-Hop and the Watson separation as professionally, they both needed to do what they needed to do to get their money. That's what I saw. Because when D-Hop went to the Cardinals, he got a new deal. And when that also happened, Deshaun got a new deal. So as much as I, like everybody else, want to clown Bill O'Brien, here's what I will say. You must put on his name. He drafted Deshaun, and he got Deshaun to stay. Picking the Ravens in this game, and you know how much I love Lamar, but I had to just put that on wax.
Moving on, we have Cam and the Patriots taking on Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Boy, Russell Wilson is that deal. We'll talk about this next time. Keep it moving.
We keep it moving. We keep it moving.
Room for Cam. Hey, Cam was dressed like he was going to that versus battle with Patty LaBelle last week. That's how he was dressed.
Glad it's night. Jalen, we have the Rams undefeated taking on the Eagles off a really terrible Carson Wentz performance. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Jalen Ramsey just got paid, and he got away with a potential game opportunity where Gallup would have caught a TD on him or a long bomb. He responds. He gets a pick this week, but the Eagles respond. They win. Keep it moving.
We keep it moving. We keep it moving.
Jalen Ramsey made the most of that opportunity in that game. We have the Washington football team going up against a team that you and I love.
Hit the brakes.
Cardinals. Jalen, 14 receptions for DeAndre Hopkins last week, going up against a Washington football team defense that is susceptible to the pass. How many catches and yards do you think our guy, DeAndre Hopkins, will have this week?
All I know is this. Michael Thomas, I think, caught 147 passes last year. That high score coming down.
Oh, it's coming down.
That high score coming down this year.
I love it.
I just watched the Cardinals and pretend they're the Lions. I can't lie. Kyler Murray, he's my tour.
You know, I'm die easy, so I'll move on from one team to another. And this year, I got the Cardinals. I love Cliff, I love Kyler, and I love DeAndre Hopkins.
We had to go to Cliff's crib and watch some of these games while he at work.
We have Tom Brady trying to bounce back with the Bucs against
the
Panthers.
Moving. Brady
We
responds.
keep it moving. We keep it moving.
Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs
Where
take
my
on the
homies?
Chargers. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Derwin James can't get a break health-wise for the Chargers. One of my favorite D-backs. Keep it moving.
We keep it moving. We keep it moving.
Jalen, tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and the Lakers take the floor against Jokic and Murray and the Nuggets. We will get you ready for that right after this. Stay tuned. You're watching Jalen. Thank you for watching the television show, but don't forget, we always have exclusive content on the podcast. Download the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, listen to it wherever you go. Every day, we have exclusive content in the podcast. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, it is finally upon us. This evening, we get to watch the King LeBron James and his cohorts and the Lakers take on the stretch Mark 5 Jokic and the Nuggets. What are the keys to this series in your opinion?
I have a couple of keys. The first one is that we return something to its rightful owner. And the Biggie crown got sold this week for $600,000. So the Joker has taken it from Kawhi to deliver it to LeBron James. His offense is what's going to be the key. I know he led the league in scoring, and he does a great job of making people around him better, getting KCP shots, getting Danny Green shots, making sure Kuzma is slashing. But they need LeBron James scoring because he's going to be able to rest defensively in a lot of the matchup as well. And also Anthony Davis attacking the basket. They need those two guys to be getting me 65 points a game. When that's happening, that team seems to be virtually unbeatable.
Absolutely. He once led the league in scoring, but this year he led the league in assists, which is what I think you meant to say. Jalen, on the other side of the ball, we have one of the best duos in the NBA that no one even discussed when the season began. That is the stretch mark 5, Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. What do you think the Lakers can do to slow down this duo who's been so hot?
Well, they're going to throw a lot of big bodies at the Joker. And on paper, just like anything else, when you built like he's built and you're unorthodox and you're not really fast and you don't jump really high, on paper it looks like JaVale, Dwight, AD going to slow him down. He's still going to get his. He's going to have his times where he struggled defensively, but offensively, he's still going to get his. I don't care who names the numbers you put up there. He going to get his. Okay, that's why he a Joker, because he's a wild card. He going to get his. Jamal Murray, bow and arrow, bang. But the wild card, dust them off. Got to be bull. Got to be bull. We need to get taller. We need to get taller. Dust bull off, and let this be a long series.
Enjoy the NFL on Sunday. Enjoy the playoffs in the NBA all weekend. We'll be back on ESPN on Monday to break it all down.